with the context. So I think we say that I'm creating a context with the background, and finally creating a context without timeout, with timeout of 1 second, and calling the defer cancel, and passing the same context to the hello. So here the idea is whichever comes first, the timer channel or the context channel, whichever comes first will be handled by the select statement, and it will print and it will exit. So here the first timer channel will wait for 5 seconds, whereas context done will wait until the until this context timer execute, which is for 1 second, and it will call the done channel to get true, and it will print that error message, and it will exit. So let us run this code. So if you see, the 1 second context has been captured instead of the timer channel, which is done channel is concerned, and that error, whatever printed is context deadline exceeded, because you have said only the hello has given only 1 second timer, and so it is given that error. Now, for example, like I said, defer is a cancel channel. Whenever you call a defer with any other method, that method will be the last one to execute, which will execute after the whichever the function, in which function you are putting it, it will be called at the end. So here the defer, sorry, instead of defer, I'm trying to do, I will call cancel. So what I am trying here is I'm creating a background context. To that context, I have created a timeout channel, and immediately I'm calling this cancel. That means stop immediately. Okay. The moment I say the cancel is called, the context has been stopped, and which will be handled by the child, because the child context is passed, and that will try to defer, and you will see a different error saying that context cancel, because you try to cancel it explicitly, you're trying to cancel it. Okay, so this is a simple example which we use it for the simple coding, and if you want to understand the coding context, how it is used, all these things. Okay, now like I explained to you before, we can pass this context across the thing, across in the sense like in the network. Like for example, a client and a server, you have written both in Go, and you want to pass a context from the client to the server. Like I said, the initial example that as a client send a request saying, I need a shirt to the server, and the server process it and sends the shirt back. But if the client says, I don't need the shirt, the server will stop himself. And when the client stops, the server stops himself. So that is the example which we are going to see here. If you see here, I have created the same like a handle function, which is handle. It is my listening. This is a small, this is a web server, okay? And the web server I'm saying is localhost 8080, I'm listening. So which router I am in the root, I want whenever a 128.8080 slash is entered, that means I will get that request in the request handler, and this request handler, as I said, it will automatically starts a go routine to this handler. So this whole method is running under a go routine. Keep it in mind. So each time like the 100 clients try to connect, for each 100 clients the go routine is started, and these are all internals to the Go. That is the special of Go. You don't need to explicitly start a thread for handling each client. That is handled internally by the Go routines. Here it is not a thread, it is routines. Okay, so here in this thing, what I'm trying to do is the request will have a context. So when I say a request, the request is coming from a client. So that request will have a context. So I'm receiving that context. Here I say handler started, handle ended, just to want to know when that handle is started, when the handle is ending. And instead of the shirt, I am trying to print hello after 5 seconds. And this hello I have written into a writer response. That means I'm sending this hello information back to the client. But when the client try to close himself, the context is received and the server will end himself saying that the client doesn't want it, so I'm stopping here. Okay, assume only here this go routine will stop after this printf of f return or the println, because this is separate go routine which stops, whereas here listen and serve is a forever loop. Understand, it's a web server which is a forever loop which wait for the multiple clients to connect. So if one of the clients says, hey, stop it, it will, this handler for that client will stop. For the others, it will keep running. Okay. And this is the server code, whereas here I've created a client. So in the client, I've created a context.background, but I'm not doing anything with it. I'm saying HTTP new request. I'm saying a get method on that request. And I'm trying to create a context, a request context with context. If there is a method for the request, whenever you want to post any request, you can create, there is a with context, so that whatever the context you have created, from that context you will create that request, another context which is associated with the request, and that request is post to the HTTP default do request, and whatever the response you get it and print it here. Okay, so hope you guys are following it up. So currently I'm not doing anything here. I'm not canceling any context here. I'm just created a context, and I from that background context I'm creating a request context. That's it. I'm not doing anything here. So as such, what will happen? The server will, after 5 seconds, the server will send an hello, and client will receive it. That we need to see it. Okay. So let me go to server, and I say go run main.go. Okay, so here the server runs. Let me open another terminal. Oh, sorry. Okay, let me try to run client main. See, handle started, so it will wait for the 5 second. The moment it reached 5 second. Hope you guys are seeing my screen.
Yes.
So the hello is printed here in the client, and the server, that handler for that client is ended. Okay, now I will try to add this context with the timeout and call a defer on that thing. So what I'm trying here is, now the client says, client starts the server and asks to print something, and it immediately after a second it says, oh, no, stop. Okay, that is what it is. So you will see different how it is handled here in the server side. Okay, so we will run the client again. So handle started, see the context has been cancelled and handler ended. That means the client is not, and if you see here in the client side, it prints saying that context deadline exceeded. So the client exits saying that nothing need to be done, and which is captured in the context in the server side, and it has been handled. Okay, so this is where you can pass the context and to the in the network side. So here is the example here, that like I said, client and server. So any number of client can start, and this is a simple Go routines things which you have seen in the server side. You can return multiple Go routines like connecting to the database, or connecting to the external another system, or another server for you to get some data. So that like that multiple Go routines you will start, and the same context is passed. But if the end client says, hey, end it here, the server will, this context will be handled in each one of them. Like database will try to stop and close whatever the database connection it has, it closes, it cleans up and comes. And if you try to connect to a third party URL and the other server, you will say stop there and come back. Like that, all this chain of reaction as a tree, it will clean up everything, and a clean code got exit out. Okay, nothing has been running on the server side, and cleans it out. So this is the so here is the context how it is mostly used. And the value, it's simple, just as a key, as I told you, the key value, like that example I showed you, correct? You can look into my PPT, I can share it, or you can look any Google YouTubes or Golang YouTubes, or Google's Golang source thing, where you will find it how to pass a value to the context. So the main purpose of the context, which what we saw is cancellation and propagation, how this cancel is propagated. See now here the client, when the client closes, the server also stops and exits. So that is the propagation of that exit. And the next one is the value. Hope you guys understand something. Please let me know if you have any queries.
Yeah, of course. There are a lot many questions which I got. People are asking. So the first question is, why should we not pass a nil context in the slides like you explained before?
Okay. um, uh, if you say, and as I told you, the context as a done channel, right? A channel cannot be a nil, and in the channel you need to pass some data, and that done channel will be handled. So, and if you pass a nil, that means nothing into it. So you can't have a nil channel. You can't pass a nil to the context. Yeah.
Sure, makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Any other queries?
Yeah, second query I'm reading. There was a question about context confusion regarding the cancellation. Um, the person, she has wrote like, what are the features like the timeout and the cancellation features which are used in the context? Then should we use the done? How should we use done in that?
Repeat again. Sorry, I didn't get.
Sure. So, this person has written that if we want to use the timeout and the cancellation feature from the context, then should we use done in order to handle it synchronously?
Oh, okay. Okay. No, it is, see, timer is a separate, and done channel is from the context, which is separate. Okay. See, like I showed in the simple main code, in the hello, the first time, the first code, whatever I said, correct? That is a simple main in a comment again, correct? This hello, I'm saying print hello after 5 seconds. Okay, so that is the business logic which you return. Okay, but that is actually a child. Main is the parent, and hello is a child or the client or whatever it is which is running. But if main ends, main wants to close all its operation, it has to inform the child saying that, hey, I am done with it, or stop whatever you're working currently and return, correct? So for that, you use this context and say, hey, I am done. So which is thus doing it in the simple channel where the context with the background I create with the timeout of 1 second. And I inform the context and saying, you can do instead of context, you can do what? You can create a 1 second timer and say pass it as a 1 second timer, and you handle that if the moment 1 second is reached, you can handle that another timer here. Instead of context, you can pass a timer after and handle that in this. Okay, see, this is a simple code. You see context doesn't make any sense here, but when you have multiple go routines from a single main go routines that in that HTTP handler I am saying, right, in the server main. So here this, whenever the people hit 88 localhost the slash router, like 100 people means 100 go routines will start, and each person will have its own time of canceling the, if they want to cancel, what the time limit they have, everything, correct? So that will be handled by this context. So and it can, multiple contexts can be handled. So context, you assume it for, you have written like 10 down the line, 10 clients are running, or 10 subroutines or sub-go routines are running, assume it like that, or 100 go routines are assume running like that. You can't go and close each one of them, correct? So instead, if you pass this context and go it in the server main, if you say, I'm done here, please close, everybody close and come, that time this context uses. Context will be useful. Hope you I understand answer your
Yes.
question.
Yes, absolutely. So the other person, so this is the last question. She's asking, can we stop the go routine in the middle of the process with respect to the context? I mean, so her question basically, what I've understood is, can we force the, like, can we cancel the context by force, or will it
Yeah,
cause some error?
yeah, that's what we did here, correct? In the simple main, instead of defer, I am saying cancel it immediately, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if I try to see with the defer, if I main.go, so it will, if you see now, the error, whatever it's printed is C, context deadline exceeded, because the 1 second deadline came. So your the done channel receives and prints it. Okay, now I don't want to defer because it will wait here till 1 second timer, and then it is getting printed with the deadline exceeded. I don't want to wait, I just say cancel. That is, you're forcefully stopping the context. Okay, and when you run this, sorry, I did not save it. See, immediately you received context cancelled. That means you are trying to run it immediately, the cancel. That means you are stopping that context, and which is captured by the child, the done channel, and it is immediately existing saying context has been cancelled, because you are not waiting for 1 second also here. You are doing it immediately. Yes, you can do the forceful cancel.
Sure, this makes
Other than
sense.
forceful cancel, you can go with signal handling like control C. You run it in a main code and you handle that all the control C signals, and you see control C when your program runs, that also will be uh, handled. Yeah, you can do the forceful way also. Yes.
Mhm. Sure. Thanks a lot. Thank you for clearing all our doubts as well. And yeah, thanks a lot on the behalf of the Women Who Go
Okay.
for
Yeah.
taking the session. Yes.
Thank you.
And
And
imparting your knowledge to us.
yeah, so please, if you want, where do you want me to share this PPT or the
Yes.
code? Let me know.
Yes.
I will.
And also, like, few people want to reach out to you. So how will they, should they reach out to you on Slack or on Twitter handle if you have?
I would. You take be a responsible person for it.
Okay. Sure.
It is always better. So since
Yes.
we
Okay.
got introduced, and
Yes. All right.
if it comes through you, that will be better.
Yes. Sure. All right. Thanks a lot. And thank you everyone for joining in for the session. See you next week.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.